Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. I'm back with Glen, and this time we're doing our dream transfer signings for Arsenal. What could it be that Arsenal need that wins us the Premier League before Pep Guardiola leaves? I don't want us to win the Premier League after he leaves only. I want us to win while he's still there so that he can actually feel the pain of, getting robbed. And I want us to win it by a point. So in this video, we're going to be diving into what are some of the dream transfers Arsenal should be doing this summer in order for us to go and close that gap. And now, this could be players that we are linked with. This could be players that we're not even linked with. Doesn't matter as long as they have the quality that we actually want. So in the comment box below, you have one job. And that job is for you to go down and let me know which players do you think have not been linked to Arsenal, but you would rather have them as part of our transfer signings, especially in terms of raising the bar, in terms of squad depth, and also in terms of competing. We need a competitor for Saka. We need a competitor for maybe Martinelli for the long term if Trossard leaves in the next 2 years. So which players do you think Arsenal should be targeting? And maybe at the moment they are not being talked about enough. Glenn, welcome back to the show, bro. I hope you're doing well.
Absolutely, always great to be here, and I cannot wait to. I've not seen Cossy's list; he's not seen my list, so I'm also as curious as the people watching.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really, really dying to get into it. So let's dive into it. We are going to do 4 signings that I think elevate Arsenal to the next level, and we are also going to look at Glenn's 4 signings that he thinks elevate Arsenal to the next level. Now, what we have done here is we've gone with 4 positions. We have gone with a striker, a winger, because somehow we came to agreement that those are the positions Arsenal wanted. We have a midfielder and we have a defender as well. We know Arsenal signed a new goalkeeper, but I think that is a little bit of mathematical now. It's going to be happening regardless, so it's premeditated. And I think whoever is going to come in, we already know. And I don't think it changes much when it comes to Arsenal going on to win the Premier League. I mean, I hope I'm right about this. So let's start off with the striker position because that is what I have number 1 on my list. And I've gone with an Italian Serie A player, one that has scored a lot of goals for Inter Milan and one that has been very consistent, for them for the past 3-4 years. Now, that name is Lautaro Martinez. He's been linked with Arsenal for some time. I think that was 2 summers ago. Linked with Tottenham, linked with a couple of Premier League teams, but he never makes the move. He's been given a long-term contract, at Inter Milan. They also still think they're gonna keep him. But for me, in terms of Arsenal getting in a centre forward, a number 9, I think Lautaro Martinez is just numbers. I think that is one thing that he's got on CV, and one thing he's got on his pedigree. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Last season his numbers were absolutely crazy. He's one of the strikers that every single season he'll come in with double figures. Every single season, regardless of where Inter Milan finish, regardless of what they do, he will come in with numbers. Now for me, I think strikers are priming, and they're picking between 27 years and around 33. I don't know why the change is actually happening. I'm not a football psychologist or a biologist, but what I can tell you is that we have seen so many strikers get better with age these days. And I think Lautaro Martinez has still got 3-4 seasons at the top and probably 2 more seasons where people think he's done, and then he still goes on to bang in the goals. What do you think about him?
I like him. I remember now. The funny thing is, internationally,
Yeah,
I usually like because I feel like if they could
he's
continue
dreadful.
playing
He's
they wouldn't have
dreadful,
won the World
dreadful.
Cup. They wouldn't
Yeah.
have won the World. It reminds me of Higuain. Club-wise, incredible. Countries, yes, they score goals, but here and there. But Inter Milan, I think he's been very good. His combination with Thuram, even whenever Anatovic comes on, he plays well with him. Even whenever Alex Sanchez comes on, you can see the combination play, and he has the experience. He has the experience, and on top of that, he not only can play as a center, as a forward, he can play as a winger sometimes, if needed. Or he can play in the front too. I don't think you'd have a problem of doing that. And an international player, if you want a winner, proper winner, that's a guy, a World Cup winner. He's reached the Champions League final before. He's won the Serie A couple of times. This combination with Lukaku. I remember after Lukaku left Inter Milan, he was always saying like, I wish I could play with Lautaro Martinez again. I wish I could play with him again.
Yeah,
Like the way he's unselfish and the way he have um that combination. So it means he can also play in a front too without any trouble at
sure.
all. So
Yeah,
I do
and
like
and
him.
and and it's combined with a couple of players I think for the past 5 years. Romelu Lukaku,
Mm.
Edin Dzeko, Marcus Thuram now. He's a good link-up player.
Yeah, and internationally as well, combined with Messi, Alvarez. I think they still played with Aguero. So he's very good. He's a very good player. I remember there's like 2-3 years ago you're talking about signing him, and it felt
Yeah,
really realistic at that time. Right now, I feel like I mean, at the moment, Arsenal, Inter Milan, in terms of convincing a player to move from Inter Milan, he might want to try something different. But I think Inter Milan on a very good path, and I think is one of the reasons why. And on top of that, he's a leader as well.
yeah, yeah. I think that is key in terms of what Mikel Arteta has been looking for with players that have been signing. If you can be a leader, despite the age, he's been going for you. Like Odegaard, the
Yeah.
likes of Jelen Timber, all these players have had some form of leadership at their previous clubs. So for me, I think Lautaro Martinez is at an age where he needs to go to a bigger project, and maybe Arsenal might not be that bigger project when you compare us to Inter Milan. Maybe 2 years from now, we will be that project that everyone wants to join. But we've been told that big names want to join this Arsenal side. Many big names want to play for Arsenal right now, and maybe it would be the right time to attract Lautaro Martinez. And the other thing with him is I think you remember Robin van Persie going to Manchester United and what he did
Mhm.
for them. That kind of striker that comes in and everyone feels, we've got a number 9, we've got a striker up top, we've got a guy that can get one chance and bury that one chance.
Thanks for reminding me, by the way, that Van Persie went to Man United. Painful days, man. I was
Sorry
watching Sky
about that.
Sports. On those days, there was no Twitter and stuff. You had to wait for Sky Sports News to break the news.
Yeah,
It was tough days, tough days. So I remember how good Van Persie was, and it's a player who did it in a couple of teams. And you're absolutely right. When Man United signed him, we felt like we had lost someone. We
yeah,
felt like we had strengthening Man United, and for them, they knew literally Sir Alex knew that this is the guy who's going to get us the title this season. This is the guy who's going, because the previous season they had lost it on goal difference with the Aguero
yeah,
goal, and they felt like this time it's Van Persie that we need. So it could make the difference, and I think that would be a statement signing.
yeah.
I think even the Champions League teams would look at Arsenal like, oh, they've signed Lautaro Martinez. They are now
Lautaro
able
Martinez, yeah.
to attract players like Lautaro Martinez. I think that's a different kind of level. In terms of quality, you can argue there's maybe better players, but in terms of even the name and what he has done, I
Yeah.
think that is huge. I think that would be like signing Ozil or someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. So who have you gone for at center forward? Because we are going to do a comparison.
I had 3 players to have here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, one of them is not realistic. Isaac is not realistic,
Yeah.
180 million. I also would have wanted Watkins, but
Yeah.
it's also not realistic because they've joined the Champions League and it will be 100 million, maybe even on 50 million. Now, the player I've gone for is a player we are linked to, because he's going for a player that we are linked to in terms of striker, but I've gone with a player we've been linked to. I think I've seen enough. I think I've seen enough of GYOKERES to be like, yeah, he's going to do the job. I think he's the perfect age, that 25 years of age. I think that's the perfect age for us. He's been scoring goals. He's used to that position of scoring goals for the last 6-7 years. He's done it at Coventry. He's now done it at Sporting for a full season. It's not only a domestic thing, like he's just doing it in the league, he's also doing it in Europe and stuff. And to get 43 goals and 15 assists, 58 goal contributions in one season, I
It's
don't care where you
insane.
are. I don't care whether you're playing in Saudi Arabia or South Africa or Canada. I think getting 58 goal contributions is really good. And a player who can get both, I think Atta loves that in his team. A player, I don't think he likes a player who's just going to come and score goals. I think he
Yeah.
also loves a player who can going to get assists. Now, I'm kind of the same. If I was a manager as well, I would probably maybe that's why I like it. I would probably be the same. I'd also want a striker who's, going to score goals, but he's also going to get involved in the play. And he has different kinds of finishes as well. He can run in behind when we're playing against a high line. He has a bit of the pace and the strength to battle with the strong defenders, because Premier League is not easy, man. You're going to be up against Cossy, up against Van Dijk. You're going to be up against Lewis Dunk. So in terms of physicality on the ground and also in terms of aerially, you have to be on it. And I think his finishing is really, really good in terms of whenever the ball is crossed in, he's a poacher. He can get to the rebounds. He can get the ball and run like one left right foot and create space for himself and shoot the ball and strike the ball. That's a different show of finishing as well. I've seen him scoring a couple of headers. I've seen him different kinds of goals where he runs in behind and he doesn't waste too much time. I even looked at his goals from the Coventry days. There's a goal he scored against Stoke. I had it in my mind, like a Stoke away from home for Coventry. He literally came from the right side, and from that position, if you're watching, you'd be like, okay, pass the ball. Okay, you don't have any space. He was like, no, I can see a bit of space here. I'm going to shoot the ball. Whatever happens. I'm a striker. I'm going to take the shot. So different kinds of finishing, because over the years we've had different kind of finishing. Giroud was very good in terms of overhead kicks and headers and all that. But I don't think you'd really ask Giroud to run with the ball. I remember he scored against, I think there's a pass that Ozil gave him some day, and Giroud was one-on-one, and you could tell the defender was catching up on him and he was about to miss it. So GYOKERES, I think, could do that. He can still get a header or two in the team, and he can still combine with the left wing and combine with the right winger. He can score goals where he creates space for himself. And on top of that, his ball striking ability, it gives you the best chances of putting it past the goalkeeper. So if he goes through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, he takes a shot against the goalkeeper, you'd expect it at least 7 times out of 10 for it to go in past the goalkeeper if it goes on target. So I think that's a good ability to have. Set pieces, you can take penalties. You never know with the cup competitions, that could be very helpful. I don't think you'd take our penalties, but hey, we rotate in terms of penalties as well. Saka takes some, Odegaard takes some, Havertz has taken, Vieira's taken, Jorginho's taken. So we do rotate in terms of that as well. And you can also score with both feet. That's another thing we want. Left foot,
that's
right
an important
foot.
quality for a striker these days.
Important quality, yeah. So you get space with the left foot, take it. You don't have to turn to your right foot. Get space with the right foot, you can take it to the left foot. If you get space with the right foot or you don't get enough space with the right foot, you can be confident in yourself to, I'm just going to cut in with the left foot and shoot instead of, wasting too much time trying to get a good shot with your right foot. So I think I've seen enough with him. Man is a different thing, but I know I've said we've done a video with Cossy earlier today talking about the positions, and I put midfield as my priority. But in terms of which one I'd go for first, it would be the midfielder. And in terms of if I was to get asked which position I'd get 2 players in, it would be the midfield. That is why I said it's a priority. But in terms of where I'd spend more money on, I would say the striker in terms of GYOKERES, because there's no cheaper strikers, unfortunately. I think you can get cheaper midfielders, but I've looked at all the strikers that could be available. I don't think you can get anyone who's cheap at all. So I'd go for GYOKERES as my dream signing, number 1 signing in terms of forward play.
Yeah, I think with GYOKERES is very interesting because I think the 3 words that explain him is typical 9, pace, and power. Those are the 3 words. When I think about him, those are the 3 things I think about. He runs in behind, he's very powerful, he's got the pace, and he's a typical number 9. So he will strike that ball if he gets the chance. If there is any little opening, he will actually strike that ball. And I think that's what Arsenal are looking for. A striker that is looking for a small window to open up and then utilize it. I think I've seen it with a couple of strikers in the past, and I'm like, if Arsenal could get something like this. Now, if we are to compare both of them, there would be a downside to GYOKERES and an upside to GYOKERES as well, as compared to Lautaro Martinez. But if we had the opportunity to sign both of them, one of them, and both of them are really available for the same amount of money, who would you go for?
Oh, I would love both of them. You said, but imagine getting both of them.
Both of them, that would be incredible.
That's such a tough question.
Yeah.
If they're available for the same money, they're almost the same age as well. If they're both available, I would still go for GYOKERES, because I feel like we can get players. I think Jesus can do a bit of what Martinez does, I think Trossard can do a bit of what Martinez does. I think Saka can do a bit what Martinez does. Martinez obviously has more that some of our players cannot do, but I
Yeah,
feel like we can get a piece of, Martinez in each of our players. But I don't think in the current squad we really have anyone who can play like Gyökeres
yeah,
at
sure.
all.
One reason why I would still go for Lautaro Martinez is a proven numbers gatherer. He can
Mm,
he bangs in the numbers. He can go 20 plus for 3 consecutive seasons. He can go 25 goals plus for 3 consecutive seasons. That's the reason why I would go for Lautaro Martinez. Now, for me, I love Victor Yokeres, and
mm,
if I put him on the same platform as Lautaro Martinez, I think he's got his advantages. I think in the Premier League, you need to be aggressive, you need to be pacey, and you need to be very very sharp. And I think Yokeres is sharper than Lautaro Martinez. But what Lautaro Martinez has mastered is the art and the art and science of positioning. I think as strikers grow, as strikers age, and the more they do it, they understand that it's not all about running. It's not about the more you run. It's about how you run and where to run to. And you find the likes of Jamie Vardy, you find the likes of the likes of Lewandowski and Benzema's best seasons. They were actually not running a lot. They were actually
mhm,
positioning themselves in areas where the ball is always going to land. So, for example, one thing I've seen with Karim Benzema is whenever there is a winger in front of him, he will not commit to the near post, but he will give himself a little bit of space between him and the defender. And what
mhm.
that does is because Madrid have very pacey wingers and quick wingers, they have the ability to drive almost until the penalty area and just cut it back. So when
Yeah.
they cut it back, he's almost scoring a penalty sitter all the time. And I've seen it all the time. With the Robert Lewandowski, obviously we know his positioning. He's always running off the shoulder of a defender, or he's at the back post. Erling Haaland at the back post. Harry Kane scores a lot of goals at the back post as well.
Yeah.
So I think with Lautaro Martinez, that is what you'd have. A guy who's done it for some time, but a guy who has now found a way. He's found a recipe, a formula for
Yeah.
actually how to get the goals. But then the other thing is the pedigree's been in the Champions League with Inter Milan on a big stage. I think he knows the pressure of playing for a club like Inter Milan. He's won the Scudetto 2 times. Arsenal have not won one. I think if you
Mhm,
bring him in and his job description is to get us over the line, and he's got Inter Milan over the line 2 times, he
yeah.
might actually be the guy that understands the job description more than our Edin Ketia or our Gabriel Jesus. Because with Gabriel Jesus, yes, you are in that team, but are you really the guy that got them over the line? Are you really, were you as important? It's one thing that people have said about Foden in the past, that you've
Mhm,
been part of City, but have you been really impactful like you've been this season, right? And I think this is why this season he's more recognized, yet he's done some good numbers in the past as well. So for me, Lautaro Martinez, that would be the pedigree. And the assurance that he's done it in Europe as well against some of Europe's big teams. If I was to go for Gyökeres and if I was to consider him over Victor or over Lautaro Martinez, it would be two things.
mhm,
One, his physicality. Now, I really, really, really think that you know, Alex Sanchez is a very good example of be physical for the Premier League
mhm,
and they are not ready for you. He
mhm,
came in physical, absolutely physical. Like, he could even give away free kicks of shoulder to shoulders because
mm,
it was an aggressive shoulder to shoulder.
mhm,
I think with Victor Gyökeres, you cannot bully him, right?
mhm.
And I think Premier League defenses invest a lot of money in getting centre backs and fullbacks. Like you can play a defense where you're playing, you're not even playing Man City, you're not even
Mhm,
playing Liverpool, but you're playing Crystal Palace, and they have a quality McGahey, and they have a quality Mitchell, and they have a quality Joachim Andersen, and like this is a meetable team, right? So
mhm.
teams in the Premier League really invest a lot of money in their defenses.
Yeah.
It's either you're really technically very good for you to beat them, or you're actually stronger than them, and you
Mhm,
can you can bully and break your way through. So I'll still go with Martinez for the experience, the pedigree. and the fact that he's done it consistently at the top. But I still think Gyökeres is a big shot.
You made some good points. I still feel Lautaro Martinez would be good in some situations. Like I feel in
Yeah,
terms of working with Havertz, I feel like Lautaro Martinez
yeah,
would be better
yeah,
than Gyökeres
yeah.
in terms of
I
working
didn't.
with
I
Havertz.
forgot. I forgot about that. But he
It,
would be like a Muller and a Lewandowski.
yeah, those formations that people used to use back in the day, four defenders, four midfielders, and then a striker, and then someone in behind him, like a
Yeah,
backup behind Thierry Henry or Zola behind uh, a Hasselbank or someone
yeah.
like that. I think Lautaro Martins would be the one behind and then Havertz up front, so you can even rotate them and they would work out perfectly. And experience as well and winning mentality, he would work out on that. But that's the main thing I've gone for in terms of strength and the ability to fight with the defenders and running behind and different kinds of finishing. That's why I've gone for Yoker. I'm going to still stick with the Yokers, but it's like 60-40.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're a big fan of Gyökeres and you want the goals, I don't think you would crucify someone who's going for Martinez. And if you're a big fan of Martinez, you cannot crucify someone who's going for Gyökeres because their level of quality is definitely up there. And I think with Gyökeres, what he's done, he's just announced to the world that, hey guys, you can look at me if you want, but I'm not going anywhere. I am here. 2 seasons, at the top with big numbers. It's up to you. Now, I would want Arsenal to go and sign a winger desperately, and I think for the winger situation, I would want Arsenal to get it right. For the striker, we could get it wrong for 1 season, and maybe he arrives next season because we've been banging in the goals. But with the winger situation, Arsenal might find themselves in a very difficult situation if either our wingers don't spring back into life like they did last season, or if we don't get a good signing. So for the winger situation, I'm going to first come to your side. Who have you gone for in terms of winger? What kind of profile, what kind of position, and the name?
A player who can play on the right side, plays on the right side predominantly, and then he can also play on the left side. A player who's 21 years of age, so fits
21.
into our bracket and could be a good backup for the right winger. And his name's he's called Johan. Now, not Johan Giroud, but Johan Bakayoko from
Okay.
PSV. Now,
Yeah.
we've played against him 4 times over the last 2 seasons. The time we played against them and beat them 4-0 at home in the first Champions League game, he was incredible. He was
Yeah.
very good. I don't know how they didn't score, but you can tell like the final product in terms of he was delivering, but in terms of the finishing from the other players, it was not there. But he actually destroyed us in that first game, but it
Mm.
somehow ended up being 4-0. He was very good. And in the away game as well, and in the Europa League games that we played against them, he's very good. In terms, if you're looking for pace, okay, I'm looking for someone who's going to. I don't want us to take off Sack and then bring in a totally different profile player. Now, I know Fabio Vieira can play on the right side, but the moment if you're looking for pace, if you're playing up against a Trippier on the left side, or you're playing against a Shaw, you're playing against a Cucurella, and Saka has done so much against them, and the defender is tired, I don't want Fabio Vieira to be the one to come on the right side. I want someone
He,
to keep
mm,
going with the pace, to keep going with the pace, to keep on working the left back. And Bakayoko is exactly that. In terms of pace and agility, I think he's second to none. I think he's absolutely incredible. I've watched him a couple of times playing for Belgium as well. Doku and Trossard and Lukaku and all those guys. And you can tell that he's still a bit raw, but if you're just looking for pace, that's what you're looking for wingers. Because I know
mhm.
Martinelli is still raw as well. But if you can get the pace and running behind, the finishing
Yeah.
can be worked on, the final touch can be worked on, which kind of runs will you make, that can be worked in and all that. So last season, he scored 12 goals and had 9 assists in the league, and in all competitions, 14 goals, 14 assists. That's a very good combination. That's a
Yeah.
player who can score and he can also assist.
Create as well. Yeah.
Um, He's a left foot as well, so pretty similar to Saka. And he's played most of his games on the right side, but he can also play on the left side. On top of that, to play 48 games in a season without getting injured, another thing that we always look at. A player who can also play all the competitions without getting injured. You can play him in a couple of Premier League games. If Saka can get rested for a Champions League game or two, the person who's coming on. Because if you rest Saka for FC Porto at home or Bayern Munich at home. He can't be rested for Bayern Munich at home, but let's say an FC Porto game or Club Brugge game. I think if you bring in Nelson, I don't think people will be like,
Yeah. The
confident at all.
quality.
Especially in the Champions League game, yeah, quality is different. But if you bring in someone like a Bakayoko, people are like, yeah, this guy's done it in the Europa League before, he's done it in the Champions League before. PSV went all the way to the quarterfinals and they lost to Dortmund. So there is a player who's experienced that at only 21 years of age. And yeah, the agility, the pace, and he's only rated at that not rated like his market value is 34 million euros only. So you can get him for less than 40 million pounds if you do the negotiations well. And again, players from PSV, players from Ajax, I feel like they play a very high tempo football, love passing, they love scoring goals. Both of those teams, I think you'd absolutely enjoy it in the Premier League as well. If you give him a bit of the space, he can create the space for himself. That would be my winger signing. I had others in mind, but I'm also looking for players who can, play on that level of Champions League and all that. So I chose Bakayoko.
Yeah, I think Bakayoko is a very big shout there because of his ability and his and where he is in his career. He could actually be willing to be a player who comes in and shares minutes or picks up some scraps as he develops in his career. Now I've gone with a player who has shown already in the Premier League. He's only had one season in the Premier League, but he's given us enough for us to ask the question: how did a big team not pick him up last summer? Yet, teams were spending hundreds of millions on wingers, and that player for me is Mohamed Kudus. Now, we've talked about my Mohamed Kudus, and I've shared my thoughts on him. I thought about Michael Olise and Mohamed Kudus, but I've gone with versatility and I've gone with the player who is more entertaining. I kind of feel like football is dying and we need that entertainment. I do need the entertainment.
Mhm.
I still miss a Rosiski because he was entertaining. I still miss a Santi Cazorla because he was entertaining. I still miss such kind of players. And I think Mohamed Kudus, when I watch him, he entertains me. But we are not
Mhm.
about entertainment alone. We're about players that can get you over the line. Now, I think, can Mohamed Kudus score for you a winner in a semi-final? I think he can. Can he be the player that comes into a game and changes the game in terms of adding pace, or even directly running at players, or even shooting directly at goal? I think he can be that kind of player. The one thing I would say is that one season in the Premier League is going to really increase his price. It's going to
Mhm.
kind of double his price because he's come in and he's recorded, I think, 8 goals and 5 assists in his first season in one of the worst seasons ever, West Ham have had. Like that is outstanding. That is brilliant. If you
Mhm.
factor in the fact that your employer is actually doing very, very poorly, and you as a player are standing out, and you're one of the reasons why West Ham have had any bit of smiles on their cheeks, they are not going to let him go for free. But
Yeah.
if you want someone to back up Saka or even compete with him, we would be talking about a 65 million pound signing, in my opinion. And we have seen what he has done to Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. Solely, and him and Zichenko's partnership is the reason as to why we departed the Carabao Cup, because that was disrespectful what he did to him. Very, very disrespectful. Like, he treated him as if he was not there. But it's not the only player he's treated as if he's not there. Again, against Liverpool, against so many other clubs, he's received the ball, run into the penalty area, and finished. So that finishing is another thing. I would love him to run to behind the goal and sit on the billboards while he scored for Arsenal.
She's on the billboards with his name showing everyone.
Yeah,
He's been an incredible signing, and he's a player we've been linked to before. And I also wonder why not too many teams went for him. Now, another thing we've seen him, I thought you could only play like on the right side. You've seen him playing on the left side this season as
yeah.
well for West Ham, and he's done it very well. And you're right, he destroyed us in that Carabao Cup match, man. He absolutely destroyed us, and I would like his teammate. He destroyed us alongside Bowen, but I
Yeah.
was so close to including him on my list, but I realized that's unrealistic. We might do an unrealistic list some other day.
Mm.
But Kudus is very good in terms of, and we also seen him at AFCON. He's a winner. He lost, cried. He was so sad. The games the way he is performing very, very incredibly well. He can score goals. He can create chances by himself. He can create chances for himself. Another player who can get both goals and get assists. And
Mhm.
he had an incredible season. In terms of finishing, he has a lot of quality finishes. I don't remember the team, but I think he scored something like an overhead kick this season in the Premier League. I don't know if it was playing
It
against
was against.
Brighton.
It was actually against Man City.
Against Man City. Okay, so then he did twice because I was
Yeah,
not
he did.
remembering the one
No, no,
for Man
no.
City.
The game where he scored an overkick, he scored a
Mm.
brace.
He scored a brace, two
Yeah,
goals.
he
It was
scored a
either
brace. I think that
Brentford or
was
Brighton.
that could be
Actually,
that could be. Hmm?
Brentford, Nottingham, or Brighton, one of those teams, because it was an away
I was
game.
going to say Nottingham Forest. I was going to say
I think
Nottingham.
it could have been Nottingham Forest because he
Yeah,
scored like a volley and stuff. Cause so
yeah,
that kind of finish, he has it in his lock as well. I'd even forgotten about the one for Man City. You can tell I've literally forgot about what happened in that final day of the season. I've checked out. I'm already into next season. So yeah, in terms of bringing competition, now that is a player would completely bring competition because he'd want to play right away. And the only thing I'm worried about is would he want to be on the bench? Also look
yeah.
at cultural and personality and all that. But in terms of just quality on the pitch, he definitely has it. If you're looking for more experience, you go for Kudus. If you're looking for someone who can still develop and more pace and all that, I'd go for Bakayoko.
Yeah, but Bakayoko is 21, and I think that is the profile you're looking at. That is the kind
Yeah.
of player you're looking at because he knows that going from PSV right now, he would go to a club like maybe West Ham, Crystal Palace, Everton, Newcastle, around there. So if he has a chance to go to Arsenal and fight for his place, and he's such a talented guy, and the thing with talented players is that they always feel they deserve. They always feel I can go and do it. I can go and oust Saka. I can go and start ahead of Gabriel Martinelli. So maybe that's one of the reasons. But also in terms of the price tag, he would be a much cheaper option as compared to Kudus because Kudus moves to West Ham for around 43 million euros.
Mhm.
Then Cody Gakpo as well, and Cody Gakpo was on the peak of his life, like literally on the peak of his life. A very
Mhm.
good tournament at the World Cup, a very, very good season with PSV before and even after. And he went for pennies, I would say. So I
Yeah.
think in terms of pricing, it's Bakayoko. But why I would still go for Kudus is this. I think that Arsenal front line is yet to be arranged into its final shape. I think it's the only position in the pitch where, like, I don't think Arsenal have really ordered ordered their forward line. In midfield is pretty much nailed on. Rice is going nowhere. Odegaard is not going nowhere, and maybe Partey, if he was fit, he would be going nowhere. As well. So we're going to get a midfielder. So that's nailed on. The defense is nailed on. But think about this: Kai Havertz, if he doesn't deliver next season, there's a big chance that you can drop him. I think with Martinelli and Trossard, we have already seen it. Whether they deliver or not, one of them is going to come on for the other. So if anyone can come in and outplay both of them and outperform both of them, he's definitely going to be in front of them in terms of pecking order. I think Saka is the only untouchable one at the moment because he's getting the numbers, he's getting the right attention, he's also getting in the right performances as well. So for him, he is untouchable. So in
Mhm.
terms of Kudus, I'm thinking about him in two perspectives. One, a player who can come in to push others, but also who says no. A player who can actually come in and create, I would say, disruption. Create disruption to the establishment. Start in games. If you give him maybe a Burnley, and then you see how he does, and then you give him a Nottingham Forest, I won't be surprised to see him start against Liverpool and start against all these other teams because the left hand side at Arsenal has been used, especially last season, for more of like counter attacks. When we are in position, we concentrate on the right hand side. When we want to run, when we want to break, we are concentrating on the left hand side. He's got the pace. He's got the ability to run and create space for himself and score goals, solo runs, from the midfield. I think he's won goal of the Europa League last season, and it
Mhm.
was a solo run right from the middle of the park
Yeah.
into the back of the net. So I would still go for him. I think there's a bit of experience there. I think he's a player who is on the verge of dreaming of trophies now. I don't think
Mm.
he's getting any younger, and he knows he's not getting any younger. So you'd be more attracted to a project that is winning as compared to to a Johan Bakayoko, who'd say, as long as I go to the next step, even if it's Everton, he would be comfortable.
It's because as well, for me in terms of wing, I'm not really looking for someone to replace Saka.
Yeah,
I'm actually happy with Martinelli and Trossard. If you can get a good winger like a Leao, absolutely fine. But I'm not really looking at those positions as a priority. But I'm looking for someone to back up Saka, and I feel Bakayoko could be a good backup, cheaper, and then you can have that money to spend elsewhere. If you're going into a transfer window just looking for a winger, then of course you can 100% go for Kudus. But as you've said, he's now played in the Premier League. His value has gone up. The money has gone up. But he's definitely a player. If he ended up like at a Liverpool or Man United, I'd be worried. I'd be like, ugh, they've
yeah,
gotten this
definitely.
Kudus guy. It's
Yeah,
it's not a great thing.
you just imagine Man United having Garnacho and Kudus on the flanks. That would be scary. Or Man City having Kudus and Doku. That would be scary.
Yeah, so I love both of those players. If you're looking at experience, Kudus, I'd definitely take him. I mean, if you tell me right now they're both the same fee, I'd probably take Kudus. This is where I agree with you. The last one I still
Mm.
would have gone for GYOKERES, so this one I still probably take Kudus. But for me, I've gone for Bakayoko, but I do like Kudus. He's done well, and yeah, we also don't like West Ham these days, so I hope he doesn't do well. And internationally as well, I was impressed with his performance at AFCON. With Ghana, he did pretty well, and I think next season, I think he stays at West Ham next season. I'd like to see how he does next season, because if he goes again and has an incredible season, he could if it was not for Garnacho, he could easily have gotten goal of the season in the Premier League
Yeah,
and goal of the season
yeah,
in the Europa League,
yeah,
both competitions,
yeah,
and he could even had two goal of the seasons in the Premier League this
yeah.
season. So if next season he repeats the same numbers and he still scores and still assists and still gets those incredible goals, then I think he leaves West Ham after that.
Yeah, I think I can see him. It's another player that I see as a Liverpool player, like kind of Sadio
Yeah.
Mane esque, around there. They sign him, they take him for like 5 years, 10 years, and he's just there doing the business. Now, both of us agree that we need a centre back, and this is very interesting because when it comes to the centre back, I've gone to Germany and I've gone to Borussia Dortmund and I've picked Nico Schlotterbeck, linked with Arsenal just for a little bit of time. That was in
Could be a
January.
Champions League winner. Could be a Champions League winner soon.
Could be a Champions League winner, by the way. But Nico Schlotterbeck is Emmanuel Akanji. Now, if anyone has seen Manuel Akanji for the past 2 seasons, Dortmund should be arrested. The CEO at Dortmund should be arrested. How is this guy 25 million? How is he going to Man City for 25 million? This guy, they gave Man City one of the best center backs, for almost free. Like you can't do that. And I think Arsenal were given a chance to sign Akanji, and we actually passed it on. But Akanji is a cheat code.
Yeah.
Schlotterbeck, I would consider even a high quality centre back than Manuel Akanji. He's got the pace, he's got the vision, and he's a very very calm, composed player on the ball. Now, where I've gone for me with Schlotterbeck is I look at him as a player who can come in at Arsenal, and he knows that he's going to be sharing minutes with Gabriel and Saliba. I think with Mikel Arteta, the other thing why Mikel doesn't really um, go for players that or why he doesn't, spread out the minutes is he kind of feels like, some of the players are not really pressuring. I mean, some of the
Mhm.
options are not pressuring. Like you look at, Timber on the pitch, and then you think about Kivio, and you're like, okay, I can, even if I don't play Kivio,
Yeah.
it's gonna be all right. But if you had a player like Schlotterbeck, Gabriel, and Saliba, definitely you're going to find some way of playing Schlotterbeck. Definitely you're going to find some way of giving in some minutes. Now, I think his
Yeah.
price tag would be around 30 to 35, around there. I wouldn't be surprised if it increases to 40 because of the Champions League tax, maybe.
Mhm.
But I think quality centre back, ball playing centre back. He's got the intelligence. I think he's a more physical Pau Torres for me.
I like him. I like him. If I'm not wrong, I think he can also play as a left back.
Very sure he's
Um,
played. He's played there a lot of the time for Dortmund.
Now I know about the players like Schlotterbeck because of Champions League fantasy. He's been incredible this season, to be honest. And his numbers in terms of whenever you play the fantasy football, in terms of the ball recoveries, he gets a lot of points for that. So he makes a lot of ball
Yeah.
recoveries, gets a lot of ball recoveries in a game, and is now, again, if you're looking for someone to take us forward in terms of Champions League, a player versatility, something that we absolutely like, center back, left back, and Champions League experience now, and age, I think is good enough, and then it would be also cheap. Now, of course, he said. We all agree that we want a centre back. I agree in terms of centre back. If that is our fourth signing, it wouldn't be
Okay.
part of my three signings. I'm actually very happy there are 7 defenders.
Okay.
If we have to purchase a midfield and a wing and a striker first, I'd say yes. I don't necessarily feel like we 100% need a centre back, and also feel that's a position you can always go for maybe a loan deal for the bench for a year and see how it goes, and then focus on the other positions. But if we go and make 4 signings this transfer window minus the goalkeeper, then the fourth signing would be the centre back. And Schlotterbeck is a good pick. I don't think too many people would actually mention him. I actually
Mm.
don't think too many people would mention him, but he's a very good quality player. If you follow the Bundesliga and you follow Dortmund in the Champions League, and yeah, I would like that signing. That would be a signing that people I see Schlotterbeck coming to us, and people would be like, nah, what kind of signing is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
people who are with Tomiyasu coming from
Yeah.
Bologna and Ben White coming from Brighton, but it'd be a great signing. That would be a very good backup and in competition for Gabriel and Kivio and players like that on that side.
Yeah. So for me, I'd go for Schlotterbeck. Do you have any? Do you have an alternative there, or you just happy with Schlotterbeck?
I'm happy with him, but again, because I said I don't really want a centre back that much.
Okay.
But
So a
as
defender.
I've said in terms of two three videos before with you, if a good defender becomes available, I would go for them, and I
Okay.
only gave 2 options: Brantwaite and Hatton. So for me, I'll go for Gerald Hato because so the defense is not really my priority. And as I've always said to cause in all the videos that we've done, it's either Brantwaite or Jorel Hato, one of them. I'm not going. I don't think there's any other defenders that I'm like, nah, I would really want this player. Those 2 young defenders become available, you pounce on them. And Joel Hart has been really good. Brantwaite is unrealistic. My netted are close to paying like 70 million for him. It goes then becomes a starter. If Brantwaite was
Yeah.
like 30 million, I think I would take him, especially the Premier League experience already. But Joel Hatto, 18 years of age, you can come and play left back, you can play center back. He's just been included in the under 18 team of the year in terms of the world, alongside names like Kubasi, alongside names like Hendrick, I think that's his name. Players like
Yeah.
Hendrick
And
is in that
yeah.
team.
Yeah. The likes
Yeah,
of
he's
Lenny Euro, who've been
yeah.
fantastic as well.
So there's a reason he's on that list. He's very good. It's just after one season, one full season, where he made 11 appearances in the 23 season, the 22-23 season, and last then he made 33 in the league and 46 in all competitions. So availability is there. I'm pretty sure I saw him captaining the team maybe once or something, and I was like, wow, that's really good. If for his age, 18 years of age, those are really good. That's a good return. And in terms of team of the month, he made team of the month twice for Ajax. And in terms of players coming from Ajax and Brighton and Man City, as we always say with Cossy, they fit directly to us because he's used
Yeah.
to the technical side of it, the passing side of it, the controlling, collecting the ball from the goalkeeper, pushing it forward, not being scared. Because 3-4 years ago, man, I don't think we'd have imagine Mustafi and Matsaka in this team or Kolasinac, you would have been
Bob
doomed. Like
Holding.
right or Holding, Raya giving the pass to Mustafi and Holding, they would have been shook. They didn't want the ball.
Yeah.
But players like Hart would want the ball. And for his age to take that responsibility and have that maturity to, take get the ball and work forward and pick out a pass without rushing it too much, that would be great. Now, I was very happy that Rice played almost every single game. I was very happy Saliba played every game. I was very happy Gabriel could have played every single game if he wasn't dropped at the beginning of the season. But you need to rotate a bit. Man
Mm.
City, Man City start with Walker, Gvardiol on the left side, Ake and Diaz. The next game, it is Stones at right back, centre back. This time it's Akanji and Ake and Vardiol on the left side. The next game, it's Rico Lewis at right back, centre back. They change it to Akanji and Diaz, so they change it a lot. It's
Yeah.
great to have consistency. Best teams to have done it in the Premier League have had consistent centre backs, Adams and Keown, Terry and Carvalho, Vidic and Ferdinand, but there's still a bit of rotation here and there when you can rest players. And I think if Hato was coming on like in a Carabao Cup match, I'd be like, yeah, this is not a huge downgrade. I still trust this defender to do a job. He
Yeah.
can push the left side. The way we also sometimes we get the ball as centre back. Sometimes whenever we play, Zinchenko goes to as an inverted position. We see Gabriel push into almost as a left back. So I think Hato can do that job well, and he can back up Gabriel well. And on top of that, he can allow someone like a Timber to focus at right back, help out by Ben White on that side with Tomiyasu. Maybe that can also help Ben White play centre back a couple of times and help Ben White help out Saliba in that position when you have Hato and you have a player who is not really complaining about not playing.
Yeah, sure. I think it's an interesting shout. The talent just is sensational, incredible. Any team that is looking for an investment for the next 10 years, they should be looking in on Gerard Hartzell. Now, for me, why I've gone with a player like Nico Schlotterbeck is easy, just because of that extra layer of experience. But Joe Hatto has nothing you can blame him for. If you bring him in right now, Arsenal would definitely have a centre back for the future. Like, imagine having one of the best young centre backs in William Saliba, actually one of the best centre backs in the world right now, and then you have the best young centre back in the world at the same team. That would be sensational, really
Mhm.
sensational. But also, what would be sensational is a Joshua Kimmich in our midfield, and this is my last dream signing to take
No
us
way.
over the edge. Now, if
I
you if
have
you
I have I have the same name written down.
oh you have Joshua Kimmich as well, okay.
Yeah.
Now I've gone with experience and pedigree across the board from Lautaro Martinez, Joshua Kimmich, Nico Schlotterbeck. Maybe Muhammad Kudus is the one you would say that doesn't have that kind of pedigree. But where I've gone with pedigree is the step onto which we are going. I think clubs are preparing for Arsenal more, a little bit more, and clubs are preparing for us brutally. So clubs are no longer expecting Arsenal to come and play like them. They
Mhm.
expect Arsenal to dominate them. They expect Arsenal to brutally erase them from the play. So they come well prepared and well experienced. I think if you're a player like Joshua Kimmich, all your life you played for a dominant Bayern. So
Yeah.
you play Dusseldorf, you play Paderborn, you play Heidenheim, you play Freiburg. All the 19 teams, are they 19 or 16 in the
Six, six.
German Bundesliga?
I think it's 18.
18. So 17 of those expect Bayern to come and dominate them. So that is what Kimmich has faced all his life, and that is what Arsenal are actually facing right now. Actually, I think that at the beginning of the season, we struggled a little bit because teams respected us more than we are used to. Last season, it was 50-50. You saw how Brighton, decimated us. You saw how Everton decimated us, right? But this season, at the beginning of the season, clubs were more cautious about Arsenal. They were very
Yeah.
respectful. They started in a very, very good shape. Low blocks, compact the middle. Don't allow Arsenal. It is Arsenal. They will find a way. And we struggled a little bit. So I want us to go for pedigree because there is no more time to waste. This season for me is do or die.
I absolutely agree. Now, my probable dream signing in midfield would have been Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah.
But I also went with Kimmich because of how I balanced my team. Because Hato
Mm.
is young and Bakayoko is young. I was like, you also need kind of one experienced signing. And that's why I went with Kimmich. Versatility, right back, center,
Yeah.
midfielder. He's done it to the top level for a lot of times. Again, just like Man City, Ajax, and all those teams, signing a player like from Bayern, a team that is used to dominating games, they're used to having control of the game. I don't think that would be too much of a difference because if Kimmich was going from Arsenal to West Ham under David Moyes, that would have been completely different. But him coming to an Arsenal where we are going to control the ball and the players that we have are almost so technical, same technical wise. We have the likes of Odegaard and probably our whole squad. Who can
Yeah.
play that kind of football and set pieces as well, taking the corner kicks. He knows how to position himself. He can go forward and notch up a couple of goals. In terms of midfield, he can make the tackles in midfield. He's not scared of that. Can get involved in duels. He's not like which name? He's not like a combative, like completely like a Bruno Guimaraes going to fight people in midfield and all that. But if experience will help you get through that, if you're missing some few abilities, experience can help you get through that. Like Modric is not the quickest. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
sure.
in terms of experience, he knows how to position himself. Now, Kimmich
Yeah,
might not be the strongest if he comes up against Rodri or Nana, but he'll not position himself, when to pass the ball, how to win a foul, such small things like that can be very helpful in the team. So that experience, considering the kind of signings I would go for with Bakayoko and Hato, I think you need that experience of Kimmich, and he fits into our team quite well. So, and we've now really had that kind of pedigree. It fits in
yeah,
with the Lautaro Martinez signing. If you sign
yeah,
a player like that, other teams would look at you like, oh, they've signed
yeah,
Lautaro Martinez, they've
yeah.
signed Kimmich. That is,
Kimmich,
even the
yeah.
other players would look at it like, oh, Kimmich, this I used to watch this guy. Even Saka will be like, I used to watch this guy in
Yeah.
my bedroom like 5 years ago, not even that long ago, and now I'm playing with him. That will give them even more confidence completely.
Yeah, surely. I don't remember whose interview it was. Who there's a player was talking about getting inspiration from Joshua Kimmich in
Hmm.
terms of playing multiple positions. Was it Lisandro Martinez? Uh, it's
Don't quite
either
remember
Julian.
that.
I think it was either Julian Timber or Lisandro Martinez, who
Mhm.
was actually using Kimmich as an inspiration. Like it's very incredible what he has done to go from right back into
Mhm.
midfield, and he has slotted in very, very well.
Yeah.
He's such a natural in midfield, and he's actually definitely a natural, at right back. But I think what you've talked about there is an extra body of leadership in Joshua Kimmich, a player
Yeah.
who has lived all the experience. Has he won I think he's won the Champions League with them. He
Yeah. Yeah.
beat PSG
2020.
1-0. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's literally lived the experience, and he's coming into this Arsenal team very young, not very young, but you still have a lot of childishness in there. And
In a good way.
in a good way. So
Yeah.
if he comes in, he would be the guy that reminds the boys, "Hey boys, it's time for us to wake up. It's 0-0 at Aston Villa. These guys are good, are almost as good as we are. If they
Yeah.
get a goal, they could actually, seal the game. So how about we wake up and come back, different in the second half? And maybe his mentality as well. I don't think he doesn't lose. I saw him in that, Arsenal both legs against Bayern, and I was like, yeah, this guy is really, really top. Like the header,
Mhm.
the celebration on the header, I was like, okay, this is a real lion in this
Mhm.
team.
They beat us because of experience, and it's because
Yeah, they
of
beat us.
players like
Yeah,
him.
yeah, sure. So I would definitely not pass on the opportunity
I think you
to
could. I think you could be right.
yeah.
I think it's Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah, I think it's Lisandro Martinez who was talking about, how to adapt from one position to another, and I was saying the best example out there is Joshua Kimmich, but his footballing IQ as well is sensational. So again, one player that I think is getting older, so he would love to be calmer in terms of midfield, receive the ball, pass it on, break passages of play from the opposition, and then turn over the ball to Declan Rice, who's got the legs to dribble, and Martin Odegaard, who's got the vision to find runners in front of him. So those would be our dream signings. Now, in terms of taking us to the next level, whose signings do you think would see us over the line? I've gone with Martinez, Lautaro Martinez, Mohamed Kudus, Nico Schlotterbeck, and Kimmich. And you've gone with Kimmich, Hato, um,
Gyökeres,
Victor Yokeres,
Bakayoko.
and Bakayoko.
Yeah. Which one? So I choose one out of all of them.
No, no, just choose, the four that you'd say. Is it your four? Is it my four?
Okay. I'd still go with Gyökeres. I'll go with Gyökeres as the forward. I think he definitely gets us over the line. Not saying Martinez wouldn't, but I think
Yeah.
in terms of what we like Martinez has a few abilities that we already have. I don't
Okay.
think we have anyone that really has the Gyökeres abilities in terms of that power and pace and just running in behind. I don't think we have that. Havertz has some strength, like you saw him bullying Cucurella that time he played Chelsea, but in terms of pace, it's not quite there. So I'd go
Yeah.
with Gyökeres as the first option. Number two, I'd agree with you in terms of Schlotterbeck. I think he's gained that experience at Dortmund. He can play the same positions as Hato as well, but brings in more experience, brings in more. Yeah, that's the main factor. The experience,
Yeah.
the ball recoveries are great and all that, and he's done it at the top level more. I think you'd bring healthy competition to the likes of Gabriel and to Timber, Tomiyasu at left back, and Zinchenko, whoever is playing. I think I would agree with you in terms of that. I think he's a very, very good player. Obviously, I'd go with Kimmich. We've both agreed on that. Third option would be Kimmich. Again, experience. I think he only has 1 year remaining on his contract, and again, versatility. Can play central midfield. He can play on the right side. He comes in with the winning mentality. Comes in with the leadership. He think he's the captain.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
captain
yeah.
Bayern. He's captain
He's
Bayern.
captain Bayern, so he's bringing that experience. He's bringing that leadership. Not easy to captain teams like that. Played at a very good international level. I'd not be surprised if Germany went on to win the Euros this time. They've not been great the last couple of years, but on Cruz last journey and all that, I'd not be surprised if they go and win it. So Gyökeres, I know, because you'd want Spain. I know some few people would want England. Some people expecting England. So Gyökeres, Kimmich, Schlotterbeck. Then last position is winger. I'd agree with you again. On that one, I'd
Yeah,
agree with you. I'd
with
go with
Mohamed
Kudus.
Kudus.
I think if we go with Kudus, then I think it not only just brings in backup, no, he can actually start games now. You can get that number that you usually talk about. You can get players playing 20 games, and
Yeah.
all of them would be happy, and we'd take a lot of pressure away from Martinelli and Trossard and Saka as well. And he's already experienced the Premier League again, because the players we've talked about, Gyökeres hasn't really experienced the Premier League, Schlotterbeck hasn't, and Kimmich hasn't. So it would be great to have one there that has, instead of just signing everyone from outside the Premier League, if I had included Hato. So yeah, I would go with those four. Gyökeres as a striker, we both agree on Kimmich, and then in terms of winning right now, I'd pick it two in terms of Schlotterbeck and Kudus.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I think with with Martinez, when you talk about energy and pace
Mm,
and going alone in to goal, that is
mm,
why I would maybe actually consider Gyökeres, because I think there's so many opportunities for Arsenal to just play that ball over the top,
mm,
and allow one of your players to just go alone. Martinelli has done it sometimes. Kai Havertz did it against Chelsea, although
mhm,
it was unconvincing until it went in. So I think
mhm,
Gyökeres could give you that, and he could give you those goals that actually break a team. If it's 2-1 and the team is trying to get back in the game, you play that ball over the top for Victor Gyökeres. He just goes on and kills the game. So those are our dream signings. Thank you so much for watching the Cossy podcast. I'm with Glen. Obviously, his link is in the title, but of course, do check out his channel, because we've done a very fantastic piece there as well, diving into the midfield situation. I've done a couple of videos there as well, in terms of what should happen at Arsenal this summer. So do check
yeah,
him out.
that
Uh,
the
yeah,
main one was the positions. I think the
yeah,
position part actually leads well to this video.
yeah, exactly. So make sure you do check check his channel out. Make sure you do subscribe over there. Do subscribe to this channel as well. We're very close to 80,000 subscribers, and we'll catch up with you right in the next one.